Welcome to Making Sense of the Madness. We got a great show lined up for you today. We've got Kurt Metzger with us to break it all down, crack jokes, and much more. You're not going to want to miss it. Buckle up and get ready to make sense of the madness. And we are back. We are now joined by Kurt Metzger. Now, Kurt and I have done a bunch of broadcasts over the last few years. We haven't done Making Sense of the Madness. But over the weekend, I'm sitting there, I'm enjoying my UFC. And then I start scrolling on the social media, X in particular. And all of a sudden I realize, oh, wow, Syria has been completely and totally overthrown.
Right.
Which kind of caught me by surprise. Now, you kind of entered the geopolitical arena, almost 4 years ago, kind of through Jimmy Dore, where you were much more of a...
I entered the arena. I didn't know that.
I think you're a gladiator in the arena at this point, but yeah, I mean, for those that don't know, I mean, you've been doing comedy, 25, 30 years at this point?
25 years.
Yeah, and you've written on some of the biggest shows, you've been part of the roast community, et cetera, et cetera. We're bioing Kurt Metzger here. He's part of the roast community.
Yes, that's right. I am a prominent member of the roast community. Yes.
But
Tony has formed a Dallas Buyers Club, if you will. That's why we use AZ terms. That's why we use pause language like that.
I mean, all I can say is that Kurt has been around town and done a lot of these things. And now you're talking about not just presidential elections, things going on in other countries, currency. You have really got into every end of the spectrum. I don't consider you left or right. I don't even consider you center.
Yeah, I don't believe in none of this shit. What? Oh.
Well, it's fine. The S word we're going to get down with today, we're trying. I've
already lost this game show of Try Not to Curse. It's one of the hardest games. Anyway, all that happened was I'd be on a stupid news show. I mean, I like this show, but I'm mad because I know news now. So that's what I'm upset about. And so it's not just that, okay? Because if that's not all it is, but also if you've been just travel a lot, you'll find out from people what they think about it, any given thing. So Syria especially, a whole bunch of this guy was Armenian cab driver from Syria. So do you know about that Alawite? They call it the Alawite minority that Bashar is from.
No, I am not aware.
Okay, so it's I might be getting this wrong, but it's like a Muslim sect that no one knows what they actually believe or something. I guess it's like Scientology before they found out about Xenu. Okay. I guess, right?
All right.
Maybe it's Sufi. I don't know. But I would always hear on the news, they go, he's a member of the so they make it like this Alawite minority is this dictatorial thing. No, what they are is, first of all, what the driver told me, everybody's a minority there. There's no one tribe that's like stronger in there. So everyone's a minority. So of course they're the minority Alawite population. Everybody likes them who isn't a Sunni radical Islamist. Okay? And why? Because they're other things besides Sunni Islamic, and they don't get murdered by our, genetically engineered Wahhabi, like our underground by Mika Brzezinski's dad engineered terror cells that are killing them and then pretending, just like they did with the Azov. They're not Nazis anymore. Now they're just like good guys. That's what they're doing in Syria. Yeah, we're not Al Qaeda no more. We're Al-Nusra or whatever.
Yes, no, it's exactly what the rebranding was. And a lot of people, I think that's really where you saw the morphing of the narrative. It had already kind of shifted away from Al-Qaeda into ISIS. But once we were full-fledged in Syria, and, there were documentaries about the white helmets, some were pro, some were con, that's when kind of the veil was lifted and people were like, no, Al-Qaeda is now our ally. And we had just progressed so far from Guantanamo Bay, from Abu Ghraib to accepting that stuff, that it didn't seem like a big deal. Like a lot
Like
of
a
people,
snake eating its tail. Like a snake sucking it. Oh, I can't say that, can I?
we get the joke though, Kurt, and we do appreciate it. So when I first saw Assad, the media, establishment politicians, it was he's an evil dictator. Later on with the non-Duma attack. Yeah.
Okay. I always bring up that Who is America show I worked on because it was like the most that I got to see, like, I don't know, people that are like old money, how they think about. And because we had a bunch of pranks that involved, it was like when celebrities are going to dictator birthday parties, that was a big story. And that's when that Putin singing Blueberry Hill video, we watched that in the writer's room and we were laughing because it's hilarious.
It's amazing.
He's singing Blueberry Hill. And we got all these Assad jokes. And I remember joking about it at the time. I'm like, look, it was almost like how Thanos, they couldn't top Thanos in the Avengers. We had Saddam Hussein already. We had Osama bin Laden. I grew up with better villains, but I could give two shits about Assad. I really don't. I used to watch that show Tyrant when it first came out, which is kind of supposed to be about him. It's like if you're the American Horror Story guy, Ryan Murphy level accuracy. And it's an Israeli show. So I'm guessing it's some propaganda and he had to go because something obviously with Israel, certainly with NATO, probably about a pipeline besides just the I'm sure there's something where he has to fall because they blew that Nord Stream up. And because it's all natural gas related almost first, that pipeline that's going to go all the way through, like where they wanted to put it, and that's why they hate Syria. I think we're on the land that we want or something.
Well, when you mention Israel, I mean, it's already been announced by Netanyahu that they are taking large regions outside of Damascus by the Golan Heights. It feels like.
And then Gaza has a lot of natural gas reserves, which is a big part of the reason for Netanyahu supporting them and whatever. And they want to steal and they did. They stole them. So now they can pipe it safely, and now there's an alternative to cheap Russian gas, the thing that we had to have like a million billion people have to die for to make sure the cheap Russian gas isn't available. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so now I believe like any demonic thing you tell me about these people, because that's much crazier than anything from QAnon or Pizzagate. That is like that okay, those are just like mild serial killer, small mass murder, sure. This is like on a grand world level, and you're supposed to just like, but I mean that's how it works.
So let's talk about that for a second.
Grow up,
because I think that's really important. There's a certain mentality that we associate with the traditional mafia or cartels or somebody like Sammy the Bull Gravano, right? Mm-hmm. That Sammy the Bull, think he's got 20 plus confirmed kills, right? And I'm not advocating, the guy's got a podcast. I see him all over the place now as a news commentator. I see people reposting his stuff. I'm not in love with that. But point being,
is he?
Oh yeah, dude, all over. If you don't know, just go do a little.
I stopped watching him because his stories are so great, man. But he, I guess he stopped committing crimes because guess what? He ran out of stories to tell about it, and then it was him doing commentary on stuff.
Well, I think he just got so old. And after remember, he had that huge ecstasy ring bust that actually involved him like threatening Sean Atwood, another like reformed criminal.
Well, do you see Sean talk about it?
Yeah.
Like Sean, it was like, it wasn't Sammy directly. It was like people that worked for him. Sammy never met him.
Yeah.
It's actually pretty interesting. Like, and Sean Atwood recommended his podcast too. Where he talks about Steven Seagal is one of the funniest things I've ever seen. And I also love that the whole mafia has a podcast now. I think it's the funniest shit. They get, they have rivalries still.
Yeah. No, I see Franchese. Yeah. I listen to sometimes Franchese. Listen, it's very, but let's talk about that. So these guys, we associate these guys as bad guys because they've done that. There are dudes in very similar suits or different kinds of uniforms that literally at the press of a button or a call kill an entire wedding. Or level an entire neighborhood. Women and children.
Obama?
What's that?
Talking about Obama in Afghanistan? Because I thought that's what they did. They blew a bunch of weddings.
Go down the line. All of them. And,
yeah, right.
And to me, that is, first of all, it's one of the reasons I've ever shied away from trying to get into politics on that national level. that one
Yeah,
day.
why would you?
Yeah. Well, again,
Look, it's lesser two evils at all times. Always.
It's just I don't want to. It's the same thing. I don't want to be a police officer. Like I watched a video yesterday of, and he's a deputy sheriff. He's doing the right thing. This dude who's going crazy has a butcher knife, takes this woman into the back of the house, into a bedroom, has it on her, busts through the window, comes up. Two of them have a gun on him. They give him 3 times, drop the knife, and then he shoots him right in the head. I don't want to be even the guy.
I mean, that sounds like he was very patient to me.
I mean, I'm not saying he was wrong. I'm just saying I never want to be the guy that has to make the decision on when I shoot the other guy in the head. You know what I mean? These are decisions I just don't want to make. You know what I mean? I'm not.
Yeah, well, the power of God, you mean you don't desire? The very power of God above?
Look, I understand we need police.
That's what Samuel Bull called it. Samuel Bull, when he first killed someone, he said, I felt like I had the power of God. Like, he said he speaks very honestly about what he did. I'm sure there's lies in there, but it's very like you can tell he's open up about how he felt about what he did.
Mm-hmm. Well, again, take that and magnify that to another level when every day you're making that decision as a general.
Yeah, how do you get through that? I don't have to. You know what I have to do? Just to blow off some steam. Once a year, I'd have to go out in the woods in a robe and burn a fake kid in front of a big owl called the cremation of care so I could not go crazy. And I would do a ritual like sacrifice of just this little wooden boy in front of an owl. And I would say, I'm burning my care to the gods. I would have to do that or I would probably die of the stress. I mean, these guys don't look good when they get out. They look like meth, those meth posters. Mm-hmm. Obama's hair turned stark. Looked like he spent the night in a haunted house. His hair turned white. So then they go in the back and they do real murder because these are mass murderers at best. Okay, never mind the conspiracy, whatever I almost.
What?
That's a daily double. I didn't curse twice.
I mean, we've done usually when we do broadcasts together, it's an unadulterated sailor storm of cursing. We're trying not to do that, but you're right. Like they're
classless.
Not classless, but they are
classless.
Again, classless
my parents
to me is indiscriminately killing other people for power and profit. And right now, I'm hoping that we're in the death throes of that as a nation. I want to believe that this incoming administration is going to do something to rein that in. In fact, Trump already made commentary that we should be staying out of Syria. But I would say this. I don't know if you saw Mike Lee, what he was posting, but he's posting, did we do this? You know, and
of course we did. Wait, why would you even have to ask if we did this? Of course we did. Did we do this? What kind of a question is that?
Well, at least it's a question like that they're putting out, and he's not doing it like in a positive manner that mainline politicians may not have done before, and it would have been on the fringe. Yeah. Of course we did this. So now what are the repercussions going to be? And look, the Greater Israeli Project or Greater Israel Project has been around for a very long time. And if you look at right now what is happening via Israel, they seem full on board with it. Now, I want to know where the Trump administration is going to stand on that. You know, how far are they going to allow Israel to go?
However they feel, however they feel, the higher you go up the chain, the less freedom you have to speak openly about Israel. The more power you have, the less you can say anything remotely, never criticizing Israel. Don't even refuse to do Netanyahu's dry cleaning when he brings it to the White House and saves it up the whole year with his wife. And every time they visit, they bring all their dry cleaning for the year so that the White House staff could do it. Now, why do you suppose he does something like that? It was a wacky story I saw Ryan Grimm talking about, I think.
That is
why would
wacky.
He do something? Is it just quirky? Why would he do that?
Might be a little power play, right?
A little power play? Here's why he does it. Because he has blackmail on all our vile piece of shit leaders. I lost my daily.
No. That's the third time you've said that word. We're just keeping them in.
I don't even know what's considered a curse now.
If you could say it on late night and most things, I don't know that it is anymore either. Right? Even the president of the United States.
You can after NYPD Blue broke
in the 90s.
You could show Dennis Franz's ass.
Yes. I remember that first ass shot of Franz. You thought that you would only get it like that one time, and then they made it like a rolling thing every season. They tried to dip it a little bit more, like you'd get it 2 or 3 times.
Well, it was weird because like it would be weird if then they never cursed or showed nudity again after the first episode. It was like, and then it became a perfectly clean show. Just one hit of David Caruso's ginger ass, like a Mike Tyson shot of his butt cheeks.
Yeah, they sold that pretty heavily on the side boob angle as well. We're going to take a quick break. It's a fun show. We're talking about the overthrow of Syria. And
it's fun.
Nudity. Yeah, partial nudity on network television starting in the 90s.
No, I meant Syria, the overthrow of Syria. That we did, America did, obviously.
We're going to take that break. We're going to come back. More Kurt Metzger after this.
Hey, folks, it's your buddy John Rich here and co-founder of Old Glory Bank. Let me ask you a question. Why would you trust your banking with people that hate you? Well, you shouldn't. We're building a freedom economy, and now we have a pro-America bank. It's called Old Glory Bank. Check it out at oldglorybank.com and open yourself an account today.
Old Glory Bank is a full-service, FDIC-insured online bank with business and consumer banking and customers in all 50 states. It takes just 8 minutes to open an account at oldglorybank.com.
I couldn't give anything a higher endorsement.
I would be remiss had I not include Cardio Miracle on my very short list of secrets.
It's the real deal. It's a real product. It's not another supplement.
I'm operating about 6 to 8 hours, and I've noticed that being on this Cardio Miracle has made a huge difference.
Since I started taking Cardio Miracle about 8 months into it, the benefits have been fantastic.
You know, if I get hungry, then I just have a Cardio Miracle.
Not only is it safe, but it's necessary to take Cardio Miracle to stay well.
This let me sleep. It's showing up more energy, more get up and go, and it's all because of what this company does.
For me as a doctor, Cardio Miracle is a staple.
Cardio Miracle to me is hope in a glass.
To try Cardio Miracle for yourself and get a special fan discount, go to the host page right now and click the link for Cardio Miracle.
And we are back with Kurt Metzger, having fun here today. I know that you and Jimmy have, and Jimmy in particular, has come around on Trump a lot. You know, I think that
I'll tell you what he's come around on the stuff you would have to if you were objectively looking at, but he's not. No one's going to come around all that stuff, all these fantastical dreams of whimsy they're talking about. Rooting the corruption, because it really does not matter what system of any kind you have until they root out this absolute like festering. I don't know if it's lizard people. I don't know what it is. Maybe that's a good metaphor for it. But you got to dig that out because it don't matter what system you have until that's fixed. And then I want to see, because I saw this guy talking about how that Doge. What is Elon's thing?
The Department of Government Efficiency.
So that sounds all well and good, okay? But then I don't want to hear. I hate these anti-Social Security people that go, they think they can use your money better than you. Well, of course statistically, yes, they can. That's the only thing that's always paid out. That thing is always paid. So that's all I give a rat's ass about at my end. If the government's looting it, well, you guys work that out. Stop looting it. But a check better get there. That's how people that get that check overwhelmingly feel about it. Even if some people don't need it, like, I don't need it. It's not. Stop funding Ukraine or whatever the hell you're doing, and also stop acting like a 401k is a more reliable. Well, you could put in a 401k instead of that. Well, sometimes your checks don't come from 401ks. Was everybody not here? I mean, old people were there, right, when that happened.
Listen, with the Doge thing, first of all, I hate they called it that to try to pump up his meme coin. Number one.
What is he, the Hawk Tua girl?
Dude. You know how I feel about Elon Musk. That's almost a whole nother show.
How do you feel?
Not great on a number of levels. Again, I don't believe that
Who's your favorite billionaire?
Again, the idea that this guy is running all these different companies and tweeting all day and like in the top 5 players of Diablo in the world isn't real.
Well, that's fake. I know that's fake for a fact because when I played stupid Diablo when it came out, I got bored of it pretty quick. They're not that good anymore. But somebody tried his build he made. He had a build, and it was terrible. Now, in fairness to Elon, my builds are terrible on stupid nerd kid spurred games, okay? And maybe he really just put his engineering mind to it and really learned how to make a great Diablo build and became the top player, maybe. But there's at least an equally good to better chance that it's all set up for him. Much like you see Marcus Luttrell from that Navy SEAL movie where they all get Marky Mark. Oh. Marcus Luttrell plays what's that show called? Survivor, Lone Survivor.
Okay, yeah, I didn't watch that one. I missed that Marky Mark movie.
Okay, but the real guy would go on podcasts. He's on Rogan. He was on.
Okay.
I just saw my thing. So he initially said he had a ghostwriter and they worked together. There's a big myth that people work with their ghostwriters like that. No, they don't. You do the thing and I'll put my name on it. Okay, Daily Single. I didn't say it. Okay, so they put their name on it. And he finally came out and explained they gave him an agent. They gave him they wrote the book. He didn't really have to do nothing. And they gave him media classes. Okay, so if you just play Call of Duty, the Intel or DoD, whoever, I don't care what their stupid name is, whatever 3-letter abomination, they're there. Mm-hmm. And the deal is Call of Duty can see what some cool guns are for the game, but they want to have oversight over it. Okay. And so everything's very calculated. The one Call of Duty game had that. I think it's such a sham. That guy who's supposedly a KGB spy, and he's talking about how the Soviet Union would undermine countries from within. Yuri Bezmenov.
Oh yeah, Yuri in it. That's right. It did have one of them. Did one of the Black Ops games. It was the
Cold War working for Reagan. I don't know if you're helping with his human trafficking on a crack operation or not. That I'm not sure about. But he. They show that in the commercial, and I've seen people are kind of like right wing or not. You don't have to be right wing, but I see a lot of people like, oh, Yuri Bezmenov, what he's talking about is right. That's how they undermine it. Well, no, is that why they lost the Cold War, because they were so good at that? Hey, you know who's good at undermining countries? This country. And no, it wasn't the Soviets. We did it. They brought that scumbag Frankfurt School here way before World War II. Then they sent them back over there to teach the Germans that they're all responsible for what happened, because it was part of the denazification process. Back when we were into stuff like that. And then they brought him here. This is all Rockefeller, guy who also funded the Nazis, not Prescott Bush. He took the heat for it. It was actually Rockefeller. I don't know if you saw Annika Lucas on Patrick Bet Value show, Valuetainment. It was very interesting because she didn't used to say who the names are. The one from Belgium,
Okay.
You ever see her?
No, I haven't seen her.
Annika Lucas is on a lot of stuff, and it's very interesting. Because she's in one of those, her mom would pimp her out to these people. This is Mark Dutroux country.
So this is a sex trafficking survivor that's now kind of dealt.
Nelson Rockefeller. They would the reason you use kids and do that, and that's what they do. All of them. It's not just something the cartels and the Taliban. I thought the Taliban didn't do that, by the way.
The Taliban with small children.
Now, what I understood, and I'll see conflicting. Again, these are on YouTube podcasts of ex-Navy SEALs that just popped up, and they're like as big as Joe Rogan suddenly, or not as big, but you know what I mean. Like they have the production. I'm like, did you set that up? Who set that up for you? That stupid CIA guy with the poofy hair who goes around. You see him?
No.
Dude, I watch all of them. And that's when you really can see. And it's getting really complex now, the fakery.
Okay.
Here's my favorite, dude. I'll tell you something great I just found out. Well, it's not great, but I'm happy to tell it. So that whole Destiny, Nick Fuente, Destiny, the prominent
for those that don't
leader.
know, and listen, the only reason I even know who this Destiny guy is because I've seen him on the podcast circuit against prominent, quote unquote, right wingers, right?
Yeah. So what does that tell you about how things work? To see that idiot, I love Norman Finkelstein trashing him. That's one of the greatest. Mr. Borelli, you're a fantastic moron. He just called him Mr. Borelli.
Is that? See, I don't even know the guy's real name. From what I understand now about the guy, and I didn't even know most of this until the Nick Fuentes stuff. And I'm going to just say something about Fuentes in a minute as well.
You say it more better. Fuentes. You say it like
Daisy Fuentes from the 90s, and we're watching MTV. Anyway,
Daisy Fuentes, yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Back when VJs mattered. So Destiny, again, had no idea who he was. I'd seen some, again, little clips posted.
He's a thought leader.
I don't know how anybody, again, Kurt, I remember talking to you on Twitter, and then all of a sudden you're not following me. I had Peter McCullough on the show last week, and I was going to DM him too because he followed me. He's no longer following me. I get no traction on social media. So I don't know how some of these people explodes, but like this guy apparently exploded. Now, is he married? Because like he's bisexual, right? Wasn't he married to some girl that was getting banged in porn too, like the Lena the Plug girl?
No, I mean, honestly, I really couldn't care less about his personal thing, except for I don't want to hear your self-righteous thoughts about anybody else once I know that you're a creep like that, dude. Like, I really, and then he's cheering the guy. So what he's talking about, hold on,
most people don't know this. So Fuentes, who's supposed to be this hard right-winger, plays the Christian crowd, says that he's a virgin. A lot of people,
the Catboy Führer.
A lot of people believe that he is obviously closeted. Other people also believe he may be compromised by the feds. Milo,
maybe.
Well,
if you're lucky, he's probably. I don't know what the hell somebody has on him, but
Well, how did he even come up? He came up through Milo. Milo just wrote a book about him, like literally.
Yeah, Milo's a creep. I think Milo's some setup guy too, of course. And these personalities that did nothing but cause problems and you just watch them speak. I really don't give a Oh, I can say that. I don't give a shit if you're right. I want to know you're not working me. When I watch you talk to me, I want to know you're not trying to work a thing or adhere to like, what do you call it? A demographic that is your money ticket.
Yeah.
Which is what a grifter does. I guess I have to look the word up because I don't think anybody. I think it just means a person you don't like. Like if you sell merch, you're grifting.
Listen, no matter what, people, if you even have the mildest of success, which is all I've ever had, you're going to be called the grifter on many levels.
Someone called you a grifter.
I get it all the time. For a long
time.
Oh,
after being right about a ton of shit.
Doesn't matter. Like 2 days ago, I get like.
Well, also, what was on social media, because you have to understand there's a bunch of now the bots are more sophisticated because, a lot, how a lot of things are just a room full of Indians with a bunch of cell phones.
Listen, we didn't get to why the controversy with Destiny and Fuentes and why they're hypocrites. For those who don't know.
No, this is the bombshell I'm giving you.
Yeah,
I'm giving not the making sense of the madness with the Jason Bermas program. So that video came out and of Nick Fuentes, the Nazi, the guy who wrote "Your Body, Our Choice" after Trump won, and just really angered a lot of women online. I don't know if you saw that.
I did.
Yeah, your body, our choice. Kind of hilarious, because guys always shows up and causes a problem, and it's always like what is your goal here, dude? Also, you're like an old-fashioned trad cav or incel. It's like join the priesthood then. Like guys that look like you and they would go in the clergy. I don't know what the goal is, but it's hilarious that he's always used to set somebody off, and the media dutifully. What I find baffling is he's such a nobody. Okay. He really is. The media, if they get a chance to do a workup on, Nick Fuentes was at it again, and then he tries to feed it himself, right? It's a lot of kind of thing like that. But his only followers are it's really dark how his stuff works. It's a lot of young teen boys getting groomed by his creepy associates. He sucks. Okay? He's like a human bioweapon that's designed, go stand next to that guy and make them radioactive. That's his job. I don't think he wants to do it. I watch Kino Casino, dude. They watch his stream, and you could see it's actually great reporting on him because you could see this is a construct, much like if you looked at a bot Twitter account and once you got past they like sports, and you're like, oh, this is fake. You watch it like, oh, this is fake. You're not even supposed to watch the show. So there's a guy, Michael Brooks, that died, a reporter. Mm-hmm. He was writing a book about the online right. He had this video for 3 years, and he didn't put it out. Now, I guess what I'm guessing is, some liberal thing of I don't want to out his sexuality and make about his sexuality. But, dude, I can't say that. Dude, if it was Hitler, you'd out his sexuality, wouldn't you? You tell me this is the new Catboy Hitler.
And by the way, let's not forget that Fuentes, for quite some time, actually rocked the Hitler mustache very unironically. We got to take a break.
They look like the producers.
We got to take a break. We got Kurt Metzger, more Making Sense of the Madness.
My name is General Mike Flynn, and I want everyone to know that I stand fully behind Beverly Hills Precious Metals and its owner, Andrew Sorcini. We are facing one of the greatest periods of financial uncertainty in both American and world history, and so now is the time to organize your finances. With the advent of the BRICS pay system, we need to now seriously consider how we can take better care of ourselves and our families and start some serious decision making when it comes to our wealth. You can also ask about their newest 2-ounce coin of yours truly. It's an absolutely great gift, and I am deeply honored to be part of history, as well as helping people protect their finances, their wealth, and their investments. So visit gold.generalflynn.com. Tell them the General sent you. Thank you so very much. God bless you, and God bless America.
The Donor Deck represents a groundbreaking independent crowdfunding initiative driven by patriots like you to bring back our esteemed President Donald J. Trump to office. With unwavering passion, we pledge all profits from the sale to MAGA Inc. and Fight Like a Flynn PAC. The exquisitely detailed challenge coin is a timeless collectible to be passed down to generations. It symbolizes your continuous dedication to assisting President Trump in his quest to rejuvenate America to its former greatness. Get your Donor Deck now. Go to the Patriot.tv store and click on Donor Deck. Enjoy the magnificent artwork and scripture on each playing card, knowing our appreciation for your continuous dedication to assisting President Trump in his quest to rejuvenate America to its former greatness. You'll get this keepsake collectible challenge coin acknowledging your support for Donald Trump's run back to the White House, and the Donor Deck of 52 exquisite playing cards, plus a beautiful display case to show your challenge coin. Go to the Patriot.tv store and get your Donor Deck now.
And we are back with Kurt Metzger. So then, we kind of got into media constructs, bots, personalities getting pushed. How do you get to break through like a Jimmy Dore? Because you look at Dore.
Well, Jimmy did a show a long time. I only learned about regular land news, not crazy underground base and space news. I didn't look into that from Jimmy's show, but because I got to see actual news on his show, and he knows good report. Like Aaron Mate and Max Blumenthal are great. Max Blumenthal is great. Gray Zone is fantastic, and so he knows good. If you want to know people that know stuff, you could do it. So a lot of stuff I saw through his show, and then on the other end, for a joke, I was looking up like UFO garbage. I told you all this.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting. You can cross-reference certain things with certain things after you know about the basic in the news events, and you realize a lot of stuff. Well, most of the stuff is not in any way a secret or top secret. You just weren't going to look at it, and then there's a disturbing thing of like, well, why wouldn't you look at it? Why wouldn't you? Like, I told you, Building 7. I really even. I don't understand if I didn't know it was a third building, or I just didn't give a shit. And I was like, shut up.
Have we talked since I interviewed? Have we talked since I interviewed Rudy Giuliani and asked him about Building 7?
Yeah, well, he didn't tell me, because I felt like I didn't get a lot out of that.
Yeah,
out of what he said that in that moment. I mean,
sure. I'll just say this. Look, I mean, the guy. I was shocked I was even interviewing him, but at the tail end, I asked him about his city corporation counsel, Michael Hess, being blown up in Building 7 with another guy. And he admits to it, but he doesn't act like there's anything suspicious of the explosion in the thing. But then, without my direction, he talks about how the Secret Service and the CIA were both in the building, right?
Oh, he did say that.
Yeah, he brought it up. And so I was like, all right, that's interesting. Then he talks about them getting out. And he says that, they didn't make a big deal about it because there was no or very little loss of life. So he changes, right there. He kind of knows that I would probably get on him about that because Jennings talked about stepping over bodies, right? But officially no one's died in Building 7. They've never copped to a single death. But even Giuliani.
You should have said, I'll tell you, that's when it's time to make a little quip, because I watched Vivek Ramaswamy did this on Jimmy's show. I liked him, but he's very car salesman.
Yeah.
And then he went on about he brought up something about the Uyghurs in China, and I go, well, how many people is that? And he's like, it's like 1 million people. I'm like, wow, well, Gaza's got 2 million people.
That's funny.
So I always like to go, hey, there's no human life. Just all the records of that $2 trillion that went missing just before 9/11, huh?
I mean, you bring up Vivek. That week, he was in Iowa, and that's where I went and asked him about transhumanism. But I was talking to his campaign director, and I was like, hey, I really like the guy, but Jimmy Dore really just kind of exposed him and destroyed him this week. And he goes, oh, you're talking about on the Palestinian issue? And I go, yeah. And he goes, well, what can we do? It's a Republican primary. And, that just, again, shows you that, like, it's not even that far. It's not even that far behind the scenes, Kurt. It's like right there. So
it's not only right there, you're supposed to speaking of over influence of AIPAC, how about you see a Daily Wire, that chick that looks just like Ben Shapiro? I guess they're like phasing her out or something and bringing in another.
I haven't seen
the Snow White. Remember they're going to make their own Snow White to counter the woke Snow White. Brett Cooper. Her name's Brett Cooper. I thought she was his sister. She's not.
Listen, I'm so far removed from those people.
They're spying on people. I mean, Candace Owens got fired.
I know.
For saying Christ is king. And so I'm watching. This dude from Geeks and Gamers, I know him. I like him, but he goes, now I don't like Daily Wire. This is what he said. He was saying this guy Jeremy Boring has planted bugs and is spying on people there. You know how they spied on Candace Owens?
Yes.
And he goes, now I don't know if I believe that. And I'm like, Jeremy, are you joking? It's an Israeli propaganda. I'm like, what do you think they would spy? They'll spy for Harvey Weinstein.
Well,
what are you talking about? Oh, dude, I meant to tell you this bombshell news. You know Ronan Farrow, the great Ronan Farrow?
Yeah.
Have you seen his new HBO thing coming in?
No.
Dude, okay. Screw all this crap you were going to talk about. There's something really upsetting that just came up. Did you know, Jason, the government could spy on your phone and your everything
I did
Pegasus?
watch that. That was Ronan
They have
Farrow.
a program
horrible.
called Pegasus now.
Yeah.
And they can hack into any of your stuff.
I saw.
Okay, now that's mind-blowing already. Thanks, Ronan Farrow. But here's the kicker. Trump might be able to use it.
Here's the deal. It's funny you said that because I watched that
only
clip.
on HBO.
I watched that clip. I didn't realize that was Ronan Farrow because he looks a little skinnier. He's got longer hair. I didn't realize.
He looks like the trans girl from Euphoria now.
I'm glad that you told me who it was. But for
guy's
those
not
that
wearing
have
any
not
socks like a
watched it,
Dominican.
First of all, Pegasus is almost a decades-old story. I've been reporting on that since 2017.
I know. So do you see the trick?
Yes, it's a joke. But wait, the worst part about that is, again, you talk about Weinstein. For those that don't know, Ronan Farrow did a bunch of reporting on that. He talked about not only Pegasus in part, but he also talked about Black Cube, which...
Exactly. I bet he ain't talking about it in this. How much you want to bet?
I wouldn't be surprised if it gets kind of like a passing, part in it, but it will never be focused on by the media. Ronan Farrow, again, like I said, all these people, and I hate to put it like this because I want to see everybody's work out there and I want to see more people doing it. To me, it feels like, and I think this is one of the reasons Jimmy's been able to push, it's because of the comedy. Because there's an established thing outside of being a political commentator, and really the only political commentators that seem to rise up have a fierce either right or left perspective. I would argue Candace Owens is sort of breaking out of that, but then again, I saw her defending McGregor, saying he's not a violent
who's sort of
rapist.
breaking out?
Candace,
I've seen her be better as I watch it. I've seen her. Yeah. I'm like, she is looking into something.
Yeah,
because I see her stuff adjust.
Yeah, exactly. Great stuff on NASA. Great stuff on Kamala Harris. But then I see her. First of all, she already defends Andrew Tate way too much because they have a personal relationship. That guy's a pimp.
Oh well, I'm glad to hear that's why, and not like I was like, what possible reason would you?
Oh, because her husband and Tate have known each other forever. That's a whole nother story. But trying to say that in this Conor McGregor rape case that it wasn't real. No, he's a brutal, violent serial rapist, and he's lucky he only got convicted in a civil court. He should be in prison. Even last night, on the press conference when Dana White was finally asked about the verdict. He just straight up said, "You haven't heard me comment on it, right?" He's like, "So I'm not commenting on it." And he's like, "The guy hasn't even fought here forever." Like, you could tell how angry he was that he even had to address it. You can't be on. I saw Roger Stone doing that too. Listen,
dude, I'm going to tell you something crazy. I believe that is totally, purely just my own speculations. But you've seen the things from 4chan that did turn out to be real things. They are kind of eerie, such as the Israeli guy that defected from the IDF and was showing his passport, and he's talking about a massacre he had to participate in. I'm 100% certain that was a real thing and not a prank. Okay, because he was never heard from again. So that they got him. I say go back and you find people reading it online if you don't want to read it. But the guy who said he would work security at Epstein Island, or he worked for Epstein, and it's very interesting, and because the people he names in it are not like who you would have thought. Like, he one time had to pick up girls for Rihanna, and he said she seemed nice. Then he said he had to go to this rich kid who he hates. I don't remember if it was like he's related to Romney. It's like Romney's nephew or something. I was just like, that's a weird thing to say, Romney's. And I had to look him up, and he's a real guy. And I can't remember why it looked like. I was like, oh. And then he said on the island, people were like, he wasn't talking about them doing Bohemian Grove kind of stuff, but they were questioning. Somebody goes, do they do like those rituals? He goes, oh yeah, they call them plays. They call them plays. And he says, we're here for hedonism, and you put on that rubber bull's head or something, and nobody can get caught. If you work there, you gotta get on your knees and start, doing P. Diddy Combs recording deal favors. So he said he was walking up, and some guy got caught on the grounds, and he says he's a guy like 6'4", who had a giant Richard Nixon tattoo on his back, and this guy crying on his knees, much like the Abercrombie and Fitch guys charges, okay? And he goes, I didn't know who he was, and like way later, I guess he's Roger Stone. That's how it's written. Now,
here's the problem with that. So let's say that, because I know that Stone has that tattoo. Stone's short. He's not tall. I've met Roger.
How tall is he?
I'd say, I'm about 5'10". If he's even.
Well, maybe I have it wrong, the height he said, but I'm telling you.
But no, he does have the giant Nixon thing. And I'm not saying Roger hasn't done some wild things in the past. And,
no, he's like a deviant for real. He is. So yeah. Look, this is much like the Nick Fuentes thing. When someone has these, like, they're on the side of one thing, and they or like your Karl Rove is a atheist during our like crusade on behalf of Israel in the Middle East that time, and it starts to get suspicious to me, Mm-hmm. And if he's into like wild stuff like that, especially somebody who's like bisexual or whatever the hell, you wouldn't go to. Epstein collected people. He collected people right down to like not as important as Roger Stone people. Mm-hmm. He said that openly. I collect people. Okay. And a guy who's got tastes like that, how he has like Florida gay Republican taste, which I guess probably pretty, based on what I know from Kathy O'Brien's books and the Thanks for the Memories book about Bob Hope. Bob Hope was part of that.
I have a lot of actually Bob Hope war DVDs. So
dude, they're not funny.
Well, I'm not talking about just his performances. So they used to take Bob Hope out to the troops themselves in combat in like Korea. So I have footage of Bob Hope in Korea firing a Gatling gun into the jungle while he is, basically trying to raise morale. For those that don't know, Bob Hope was named basically as a MK Ultra monarch slave for Hollywood. Later on in some of these books, Kathy O'Brien.
He was an owner.
Yeah, of some of these MK Ultra victims, allegedly. But he openly worked with the U.S. military and their propaganda department, really from his inception.
So his USO shows, I realized this because I was like, I don't really know what hypnosis is too much. It mixes hypnosis, but what is it? And then I realized, it's like everything around us all the time. It's a hypnotic script. So the news, they repeat the same phrase over and over, like a democracy. But 12 hours of a hypnotic phrase, democracy's on the ballot, right? Bob Hope, he would do unfunny jokes. The audience has to laugh. He's like a human sign that says laugh, and they have to do it. So I'm pretty sure he was doing some kind of thing. I've seen it firsthand when people are sitting there in a TV audience and they're told to do it, they'll do stuff, right? But he probably was one-on-one hypnotizing people, and then he'd do that stupid golf swing, remember?
Well, listen, man.
I think that's a hypnotic. I think that's part of his hypnotic script, honestly.
Maybe even cues, but let's talk about
it's
that.
It's unfunny, droning shit. Wait.
Because it was weird. Like, we're about the same age. And the things that I remember about Bob Hope, Johnny Carson used to do the old golf swing. You'd always see these kind of like older comedian guys doing that. Always about...
They do the Illuminati eye? No.
Well, they'd be always around much younger women, right? They would always be scantily clad. It would be almost Hefner-esque. The other thing they used to put them into was kind of like the robes, right? And the sailor hats. Bob Hope was never actually a sailor. You know, Johnny Carson wasn't a sailor.
L. Ron Hubbard, at least, when he wore that outfit, he was sailing, man. These guys are landlubbers wearing a robe and a...
Just very bizarre. And it was kind of
I got to start wearing a robe and a sea captain hat now. I got to start wearing... That's like the original MK Monarch handler. You wear a robe and a sea captain hat. And you got a pipe.
And at any moment you could grab a golf club or make something into a golf club and hit it off.
Yeah.
Kurt, we got to take one last break. We got about 10 minutes when we come back. You're not going to want to miss it. More Making Sense of the Madness after this.
Hi, fellow patriots. How are you today? No, really, how are you? If you're looking for a way to energize, depuff, revitalize your skin, and maybe soothe some sore muscles, look no further than the Patriot TV store and the Nu Skin Renew Spa IO system. This is not your basic body massaging system. Nuh-uh. This has adaptive microcurrent technology that goes through these wonderful nodes on the bottom to really get in there. When you use it, you feel it just gently tickling in there and massaging everything. It's marvelous. And not only do you get the device, you also get a free tube of the special conductive gel to go with it. So there you are. You can depuff, you can revitalize, energize, and not only that, contour, firm, and tone. And we all want that. So go to the Patriot TV store now and get yours today from Nu Skin, the Renew Spa IO system. Attention business owners, are you ready to advertise to millions of loyal patriots ready to buy your products or services? Here is your golden chance to advertise with Jason Bermas and connect with his massive audience on Patriot TV and his incredibly loyal social media followers. As an advertiser on Making Sense of the Madness, you also reach his followers on the top social media sites. As Jason dives into complex current events and conspiracies, offering investigative analysis and thought-provoking discussions to uncover the deeper truths behind the headlines. When you advertise with Jason on Making Sense of the Madness, you're aligning your brand with integrity, loyalty, and a dedication to truth. Jason's audience is passionate, conservative, and committed to the values your business stands for. When given the choice, Jason's followers will buy your products or services over other woke companies. Don't miss this opportunity to elevate your brand with the power of Patriot TV. Reach out to us today at advertise@patriot.tv.
And we are back with Kurt Metzger. So we've had the election. I believe it was too big to rig. We kind of talked on the peripheral of maybe reforms. We talked about Doge, etc. Trump just came out recently and has kind of solidified the idea he's going to pardon the January 6thers on day one of his presidency. He's already traveling the globe, meeting with people like Zelensky, Macron, etc. Do you? I mean, John
Starmer's talking weird now. You saw that?
Who's talking weird?
I don't understand it.
Who?
Keir Starmer.
Oh, yeah. He's talking
UK
weird.
Prime Minister.
Well, he just met, who else did he meet? He just met Justin Trudeau. He's talking a little like saner. Everybody seems to be getting in line for daddy a little bit.
I don't know what else. Keir Starmer's like, we was deliberately, he's saying the great replacement theory, but he kept going they. He didn't say we because he was also doing it, probably in charge of a lot of it. But he's some kind of MI5. He's the guy that covered up Savile stuff for MI5, you know?
Oh,
like how Robert Mueller didn't prosecute Isaac Asimov's son, the biggest CP network runner of what do they call it? They have a different term for it now. I don't want to get you in trouble by mentioning a crime that's real, but he was a trafficker of CP, the most prolific ever caught in the state of California, Isaac Asimov's son. And yeah, well, go watch oh damn, what's his name? Such a jerk for not remembering this. Jamie Deluxe. Jamie Deluxe.
Jamie did one? I'm good friends with Jamie. Yeah, no, we've hung out, and I love Jamie.
Yeah, dude, he's got some great stuff. And then Control Alt History, which doesn't have a lot of viewers. That's why I learned where tinfoil hat comes from.
Okay.
Did you know where it came from?
Yeah, no, I used to. Well, first of all, now we have aluminum foil, which is a totally different thing. But tin foil was a reflectant and something that actually could have been used for those type of things. Aluminum foil is not the same exact thing. So we haven't had
the guy who invented it, he invented it after Carlos Delgado. You know this.
Yes.
Here's a creepy thing about.
He's an MK Ultra guy. For
chip.
those that don't know, he's the doctor that used to put electrodes in the brains of things like bulls, possibly humans.
And this guy, Leonard Kyle, Kiles. He's not on Wikipedia, but he had patents on Polaroid camera. Like he's a smart guy. He thought his girlfriend was cheating on him, and he goes to a therapist about his anger problem over it. I don't know. One thing leads to another. They put a chip in his head without telling him. And the pain, it just degenerated. It went real bad for him. So he ends up, and then the government, nobody knows what happened to his patents, or the government took it or something, and he ended up in the Carl Reiner facility in a loony bin. And he used to put a metal trash can on his head because it would block the pain of the microwaves that were being used on the chip in his head. And they finally started giving him foil to wrap around his head. And that's the first instance of it. And it's actually and by the way, I think it did help. I think it did help him. So, no, I never heard of that before, ever. I'm like, where'd that come from? Like, where'd this phrase come from? And you go and look into it, and you're like, oh, this is how it works. So a real despicable crime was committed by the despicable intel community, who are the lowest form of Nazi awful filth that ever cursed the planet. And they did these Nazi things to him. And he had to wrap his head in tinfoil by the end of it. And now we use it as a discrediting or like an ironic, like, oh, hear me. I like that one girl's channel where she has "Hear Me Out" in her tinfoil hat, and it's like a joke. But I'd never heard where that came from until Control Alt History, the Vicky Morton scandal that I was too young to really know.
No,
Reagan's Epstein.
No, I don't know Vicky Morton.
Alfred Bloomingdale was the Epstein for Reagan.
Okay.
And Larry Flint was briefly a news magazine publisher. Okay. And that's around the time when his girlfriend suddenly got AIDS. And he had all these great stories, and he was to buy the tape of Reagan. Now in the old media, it says a bizarre sexual act with a strap on Vicky Morgan was doing to him. So he's probably getting pegged in the video. Now, if that's shocking to anybody listening, that's not even in the top 10 of the vile things Reagan did. Not even in the top 10.
And
if
by
you
the
think
way,
that's weird.
Just because you bring up Larry Flint as a publisher, even in Hustler magazine, he would be a guy that would put bounties out on Republican politicians that were trying to take him on. I think Gary Hart is one of the people that he exposed when he was having the affair. And even further, back in the loose change days, they did, I think, like a 4-page spread on us on loose change, questioning 9/11. Yeah. But then they also were the only ones to publish the video of Timothy McVeigh at a military facility inside a tank after he had supposedly been discharged. The only outlet. I want people to think about that. We talk about legacy media and how bad the mainstream's been. That's an event that took place in the 90s. It took, a pornographer to put out evidence in the mid to late 2000s that we are relied to.
Did you know this? Wait, this is the important part. So he had this news magazine that was on Hustler that was putting all these. They had the Vicky Morgan. Now, just what happened to Vicky Morgan? She was Alfred Bloomingdale's mistress, and he died, and she was threatening to. She had tapes of stuff she did with Reagan and him and these other politicians, and the Reagan in particular. It's 1980, so he just got in, I guess, and he bought them, and then the tapes were like stolen or something. The tapes were like stolen. Oh, and also she was found in her apartment, her head beaten in with a baseball bat, and her roommate was convicted of the crime because he was supposedly a schizophrenic. Her roommate didn't know how he got to the police station and couldn't remember, confessing, and left his car. So somehow he walked or something to confess. And it's very Sirhan, actually. Then Control History will tell you about, because the Rockefellers, they talk about the Kennedy curse. Well, Rockefeller's got the same deal going. Like those three brothers, that guy's death is bizarre, okay? And now, because I look at everything, you start to see a pattern forming. I think they've had these little wind-up toy Sirhan assassins for a while, and like when one's the vice president and wants to be president, it's proprietary. I've been told by Nathan Reynolds, who is in one of them things, that it's not just state actors, it's companies. A lot of this I got from, he's a doctor, and you probably know who he is. And he
Gottlieb?
Huh?
Oh, you're not talking.
He's friends with RFK.
Oh, you're talking about Del Bigtree?
I don't know. I just saw my Danny Jones podcast. This guy talking about. He talks about red light all the time.
Okay,
it's good for your eye. You don't get red light.
Like the blue blockers, right?
Well, no. It's like Vegas techniques that they learned. The Jewish mob learned, the smarter mob than the Italians. They learned how to keep you in the casino gambling. And I think Mossad was back in, what's his name, the famous guy.
Meyer Lansky.
Yeah, Meyer Lansky was a node. He probably was an Epstein in and of himself, I'm sure.
Wasn't Lansky actually ended up living his days out in Israel, I believe, after the fact? I'm pretty sure he left the country. And, But again, you look at a guy like that was part of regular organized crime, probably not the greatest person in comparison to these people that are literally making decisions of families, neighborhoods, countries being destroyed by drones, death and above. It pales in comparison.
Wait, what was I was trying to tell you about Rockefeller and I forgot, and it's
You're
important
basically
to the
trying
thing.
to tell me about proprietary MK Ultra style hitmen.
Right, so MK Ultra is not the beginning of it. In fact, this stuff goes back.
No, Artichoke, Bluebird, it goes back.
Dude, the Dalai Lama, what do you think Dalai Lama is? That's an MK Ultra kid from 700 years ago. They brainwash a kid under the age of 6 to believe he's some other guy.
Yeah.
And they trace the lineage because they're looking for dissociation. That's in your genetics. So that's why they trace the bloodlines. That's why it's called Monarch. The leaders of tomorrow are going to be wind-up toys, just like Egypt. Just like the priests wound up the pharaohs, we're going to do that again with theater
Metzger.
and all kinds of fun. What?
This is great stuff. We've run out of time. This is it. I mean, it's not as open forum. You can check Kurt all over the place, but you can follow him at X, at Kurt Metzger. You can check him out on the Jimmy Dore Show and a ton of other places. Folks, you know the drill. It's not about left or right. It is always about right and wrong. I absolutely love you guys, and we will see you on the flip side.